King Governance and Law in Ancient India. King Governance and Law in Ancient India by Patrick Olivelle is an annotated translation of Kautilya's Arthashastra. It has 15 chapters and 3 appendices which allow the author to stay close to the original text as a student of Sanskrit literature. It is difficult not to know Patrick Olivelle. He is probably one of the most remarkable scholars in this field. With a PhD in History of Indian Religions from the University of Pennsylvania, Olivelle started his career teaching in the Department of Religious Studies at Indiana University from 1974 to 1991. Later, later he moved to Texas, where he served as chair of the Department of Asian Studies and professor of Sanskrit and Indian religions at the prestigious University of Austin from 1994 to 2007. The author's knowledge of both Sanskrit and Latin enables him to go through vast sources in the historiography available in these two languages. His work on the medieval debate on renunciation in Hinduism. A medieval debate, volume first, the debate and the Advaita argument, volume 2, the Visista Veda, Austria. This Veda argument is not only a masterpiece but unequivocally an irreplaceable work, well known in the field of Indology. His book Upanishads, Oxford. Oxford University Press 1996 was the first major English translation of the ancient Upanishad. His current research focuses on the ancient Indian legal tradition of Dharmashastra. Olivella Olivelle also translated the four early Dharma Sutras, Oxford University 2005, and authored a critical translation of Manava Dharmashastra. Uh, King governance and law in ancient India was eagerly anticipated as his earlier works had a profound impact. Nevertheless, the reader wondered how a new translation of a treatise like Arthashastra could surpass Kangle's masterfully translated and analyzed. The Kautilya Arthashastra, University of Bombay in 1955. What new aspect of the Arthashastra would Olive will bring to light? However, this book is not only innovative but brings a new perspective that is needed in the Arthashastra historiography. What is the significance of Kautilya's Arthashastra? The Arthashastra is an ancient Indian treatise on statecraft, economic policy, and military strategy. In the book, the author identifies Kautilya and Vishnugupta, names traditionally synonymous with a certain Chanakya. Um, 350 to 283 BC. Chanakya was a teacher at the Takshila University and the teacher and guardian of Emperor Chandragupta Maurya and founder of the Mauryan Empire. Kautilya described in the book the ethics of economics and the different duties and obligations of the Raja, the king. The scope of the scope of the book is, however, far broader than just statecraft. It offers an outline of an empire, legal and bureaucratic framework for the administration of a kingdom. Moreover, Kautilya provides a wealth of descriptive cultural details on topics such as mineralogy, biology, agriculture, animal husbandry, medicine, and the use of wildlife. The Arthashastra also focuses on issues of welfare, Yogakshama. For example, Kautilya explained the principles of the redistribution of wealth during a famine. In Kangle's translation of Ardhasastra, some parts of the text are very difficult to understand. For example, pronouns are not always given. At times, the author seems to have translated too literally. However, the current trend in the scholarship on the Ardhashastra in India is to analyze the text, which naturally belongs to the academic fields of literature and history, so as to integrate it into new fields like political science, comparative social anthropology, and international relations. Therefore, while dealing with the conceptual messages provided by Kautilya's Arthashastra to interpret contemporary matters, it is important to analyze the text itself. Only then can one understand when a precise quotation is needed. In this context, Congress translation can often be problematic. One such translation problem is reflected in the confusion over the use of terms for the king and his administration. English and Sanskrit are grammatically and syntactically different. Many academics acknowledge that translations are necessary not because they literally reproduce the meaning of the language, but because they help to provide a clear understanding of the subject. Ashwini and SDO, the metrical organization of classical Sanskrit words, General of Linguistics, 43 2007. Olivia makes a valuable choice. Things that are implicit in Sanskrit are explained explicitly in English. This is particularly true as Sanskrit simply uses a verb in the third person and there are no indications to the subject in the text. Therefore, Olivia provides in the English translation the nouns missing in the Sanskrit text of Ardhashastra based on the text of the subject. Kangl's translation lacked this kind of approach. In addition, Orwell supplies translated words for fauna and flora that were missing in Kangl's translation. This is highly valuable in contemporary times. In fact, the 14th book of Ardhashastra describes impressive lists of plants and animal products and how to use them for medicine. Ayurveda should not only be studied for the sake of research but also because it is a very valuable part of medical research. Ayurvedic medicines need to be rediscovered because they have a very high potential for medical innovations. Investments by international pharmaceutical companies in Ayurvedic medicinal research also reflect its significance. In this context, Olivilla's translation of Shastra is important as it will help to further medical research. Patrick Orwell also describes to go further than Kangle in his translation. He translates the multiple names for the royal administrative high ranking officials as he explained. The term Amartya has been translated as minister, which clearly does not mean cabinet ministers in a modern state. This term generally refers to any high official of the state. Numerous scholars try to see a kind of modern state in the Ardhashastra, but it is an absolute anachronism, trying to find some aspects of modernity in the Ardhashastra is a very interesting kind of research, but it cannot be relevant in the long run if it leads to anachronisms like the use of the concept of state. Olivella's mention of multiple names for officials ranks makes it clear that it is the king himself who determines the power and not to the central administration. Congress translation had, in a way, exaggerated the importance of the ministers and gave the impression that the ministers were counterbalancing the power of the king. In a nutshell, Oliver's translation is of great help for the experts working on Ardhashastra. It preserves the richness of the text, it gives new insights into an Ardhashastra and allows a more precise understanding of what Kautilya wanted to matter of words only. It is a matter of making intelligible a whole culture. Anthony Burgess is translation possible. Servants tell 1984. Arthashastra is a very important text in the understanding of ancient Hindu thinking, and Olivella's translation will help researchers to make analysis with precision and without falling into anachronism. Thank you.